Welcome home. Lou from Hypocritic here, back on the show floor at PAX East 2024, and we are back with Billy from Shared Memory to talk about Animal Well and catch up a little bit. Great to see you again.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Animal Well is coming up on release. We have a May 9th release date announced just recently.
That's right.
Since we last spoke about a year ago, how has the last 12 months of development been? What's been new?
The last 12 months have been probably the busiest year of my whole life. I think, since showing it last year at PAX, I've kind of just like retreated into my cave, and it was like, okay, like a lot of people are excited about this game, but I need to finish it. So I like pretty much went radio silent for a good 6-month period and didn't talk about it at all because I just needed to finish the end of the game and just get all the stuff needed to ship it out to people. Took a lot of late nights to get it to this point, but it's finally happened. I don't really know what my life is going to be like when this game is out, because it's like such a constant background factor to work on it every day. It's very surreal.
Yeah, that is long road, right? But finally, with that light at the end of the tunnel in early May, what does it feel like for you to have, like you just said, stuck with this project for so long, have it such a big part of your life for so many years, and then there's kind of a finish line here? What's that been like?
I don't know. It probably hasn't sunk in yet. I don't know. Like, I always hear that people get like postpartum depression when they like release their indie games, and I don't know if that will affect me because I'll probably just like start working on another game after this and just kind of take a break for a while. So it's hard to imagine that, but so I really don't know. It's going to be like, it's like if you develop a routine or a habit and your brain, you get the like neural pathways in your brain that form, but then like that thing gets like taken away. So now your brain is configured to like do something and it's like not there anymore. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious myself.
Yeah, that sounds tricky. Guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So in getting the kind of final stages of the game ready to go and getting ready to get it out the door, it's seen a lot of activity at trade shows like PAX. Now, over the past couple of years, how has feedback from players just coming up and experiencing it, if at all, influenced your kind of final design and implementation steps as you polish it up?
Yeah, I think coming to shows like this is super important for feedback. I don't take a lot of feedback with like the big picture stuff of the game. That I kind of come up with on my own, and like items that you get in the game and some of the bigger themes. But watching people play and seeing the little details of like what they notice or what platforms they like have trouble on, or whether something's too hard, that's like super important. And it's like I always use the comparison for, probably only makes sense to programmers, but it's like when you write code, you like run your compiler, you like write what you think is the correct thing, but then the computer like tells you like, no, you made mistakes here, and you have to go fix them. So it's like level design is like that, where it's like I have to guess what the player's thinking at various points. So I design a level with them in mind. I'm having this like imaginary sort of conversation with them, and then I bring it to shows like this and I watch all the parts they like don't get or the parts they really like, and then I kind of see all my mistakes and I'll go fix them.
It's a great litmus test, it sounds like, to just sort of feel out that perspective on it, which is awesome. Digging into it a little bit more, not only have you been building the entire game, but you built the engine that powers it, which is just absolutely fascinating. So from your perspective, why the choice to build your own technology, assumedly from the ground up, instead of going with something off the shelf? What benefits does that give you?
I think selfishly, it's just like the way to work that I find the most fun and enjoyable. So it also helps with motivation. Like I always try to find the way that like I will just like if I'm having fun and I like love doing something, like I'm probably like 10 times more productive because I'm just like I don't need to like tell myself to do it. I don't need to like trick myself. So I find like writing tools and systems and learning how games work. I think my biggest motivator is just understanding how games work, and it always has been my whole life since I was a little kid. They always seemed like such a magical thing. So it's like a lifelong goal of answering those questions, like how do graphics get rendered? Like how does like the input you enter on a controller like get parsed like by the processor, which then like communicates to the GPU and stuff in memory, and then sends data to the graphics card, and like rasterizes graphics on screen, and like how does the TV even work? How does like on a CRT, like how does the draw the scan lines? And so all that stuff is like super interesting to me. So I chose like to make the games engine. It was like, it wasn't really a choice. That's just what I started doing. I took some like classes in college that like taught us how to make game engines, and so like as a hobby project, I was making systems and like a level editor. It was kind of like Mario Maker, where I can like place tiles around, and then just like as I did that more and more, I realized like, oh, I should make a little game with this, and I thought it would be like an hour-long game that took like 6 months to make, and I would put it on Steam for like $5, and so that was the initial plan. But then like I just didn't stop making it. I guess I just kept adding effects and like kind of coming up with new ideas. And then it's like, okay, well, the world should be a little bit bigger, or there should be like these 4 main areas you go to, or I'm like, there should be all these secrets on top of the main world, and then like then the secrets need secrets, and then it just kept organically like kind of growing, and yeah, I'm happy I made the engine now, even though I wasn't thinking too hard about it to begin with, because I feel like I have way more independence than other game developers. I don't have to worry about whether the company that makes my game engine like supports certain platforms, or they're going to change their business model, or they're going to make some stupid decision based on like being a publicly traded like company. And so yeah, I feel very like in charge of my own destiny as a result.
And that is so awesome. Organic was exactly the word I was going to use, where it sounds like you have so much control and so much freedom and independence, like you're saying, to let projects blossom and grow as you see fit, as you kind of play around with it, see what's fun, see what makes sense, secrets on secrets, everything like that.
Yeah.
So again, from that engine perspective, we like to talk about and explore the kind of nooks and crannies of game development. What surprised you, what challenged you? Engine development is an entirely different beast, much more intricate and technical in some ways. Well, from your perspective, what surprised you or challenged you or maybe caught you off guard about engine development specifically, and sort of rearing the tools and technology you needed to then put the game on top of?
I think early on I did not expect to be making this ambitious of a game, so I made like a few mistakes. Like none of the text in the game was set up to be localized, so I thought it would just be, just support English. So all the strings in the game are just ASCII, 8-bit ASCII characters, which only support like the English alphabet and numbers and a few other bits of punctuation. So I had to like kind of go back and redo all that to support Unicode, and so it was kind of like a little bit of a mistake. I didn't even expect to port to console, so I'm using a lot of very PC specific like functions and stuff in the Windows version, and then I had to do a lot of work to kind of refactor it so I can use the graphics API on like the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation. I tried to like bring them in line with each other as much as possible. They all use the Clang compiler, so there aren't many bugs like as a result of like little code differences in the standard of how they're implemented. But yeah, all that stuff I kind of get excited when there's like an engine problem that needs to be solved. Like, oh, I can stop making art and I can go like do this kind of boring esoteric thing. But it's like satisfying because there's like a correct answer a lot of times. You have a set amount of work, and then the feature like comes online and it works. So it's like programming is very like it's almost like gamified, where it's like even if you're doing performance optimization, like you have a number that you're like trying to get down. It's like scoring you the whole time on like how good you're doing. So that hasn't been the hardest part. That's like been the easiest part of the project. I think learning to make the art and the music, that's more challenging to me and requires a little more like motivation. And then the business and marketing stuff, that's the most intimidating. That's what I've gotten the most help with.
Exactly.
Because I'm still not good at that.
As long road for all of that, right?
Yeah.
So digging into that a little bit more, as opposed to maybe the more left-brainy, more objective kind of solving the technical problems and some of the engine hurdles, you mentioned art and music and sort of leaning into some of the more subjective and creative elements of it. And you mentioned maybe there were a few more challenges along with that. Do you find it hard to sort of context switch as needed, where some technical thing needs work and then you're going back to art and then you're bouncing to music and whatever?
Yeah.
And in terms of creating that sort of refining the art style, building the music and the soundscape. What has that sort of creative process been like, just in terms of finding the game's voice, finding its visuals, and then refining it all?
Yeah, I enjoy like getting to kind of bounce between all those disciplines because they really do require like different parts of my personality. And usually if I'm doing like audio, if I'm like trying to make a background track or some music for the game, like that, I'll do that all day. And it's just like I'm getting in that mode where I'm opening up Reaper, which is the tool I use for audio, and I'm just thinking about that for like a whole period of time. Or if I'm doing one of the console ports, I would just like work on that exclusively for like weeks at a time. Just be like, I'm reading the documentation, I'm just living in this world. I'm gonna think really hard about how the memory layout is on the PS5, and how do you like flush the different layers of cache between each other, and like
wow.
And so it's like you kind of have to like load up all the data into your brain to like think about it, and then like you could do the work, and then you could kind of forget about it for a while and then move on. Or like or if the game design, I think very hard about like the sort of the layout of the world, and that's like sort of the dependency chain of the puzzles you solve and how all the rooms can fit together. It's kind of like a puzzle in itself, and the world's gone through a lot of different versions because I wanted there to not be any like loading screens or sort of seams in the world. So every room like fits together. And so it's like this kind of elaborate structure that's formed, and that I've had to like just moving like one screen around at this point like would have like so many like rippling game design consequences that I'd have to like think through. So is this big like sort of multivariable like problem I need to like keep trying to solve for.
Right. And putting all those puzzle pieces together has finally kind of come to fruition. We've got a May 9th release date. What platforms can people play Animal Well on?
PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and Steam.
Can't wait. Billy from Shared Memory, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, of course.
And keep it tuned here to Hypocritic GG for more for PAX East all weekend long.